Yeah, Ken, obviously, just judging by what the Flames are doing here, there was an opportunity for you to move down. Did you not move down, and did you see this pick coming? Is this the one you were, a kid you were looking at and waiting for?
Well, first off, nobody called us to move down, and I didn't call anybody. We had basically we had our list, and we went by it. We were excited to get Dylan Holloway when he was available, and we wanted to make the pick. But I had a couple teams earlier today call that if a certain player fell, they might call. The phone never rang. So we're excited to add Dylan Holloway to our organization.
What is it that he gives you? What is you looked at a lot of kids here. You guys knew the whole field. What does this guy bring?
Well, he's, in a league that speed's important. He can really skate. He's a big man. He's, he led the Alberta Tier 2 league in scoring as a 17-year-old. Not many 17-year-olds do that. He's gone to Michigan. He can play left wing. He can play center. He's a forward. We wanted to add another a forward. So I think combination. I talked to Tony Granato this week. Tony was the assistant coach in Detroit for 3 years when I was the manager. Tony spoke very, very highly of his character and of his work ethic. So we're adding a player that's got tremendous character, work ethic. He can skate. He's versatile. He can play left wing. He can play center. And we think that there's more offense in there than he showed as a freshman when you look to what he's accomplished in Tier 2 as a 17-year-old.
Next question, to Jack Michaels from Ched Radio. Jack, as soon as your microphone is active, you can go ahead. Go ahead, Jack.
Ken, I was just curious, what role, if any, does the interview process come in with this particular player? I don't know whether you had a chance to speak with Dylan, but when he joined us, he struck me as particularly articulate and thoughtful. He kind of expanded on some of his answers, and it wasn't sort of a robotic thing. And I'm just curious, are you ever struck by a kid beyond the ice, and does that stick with you at all?
Well, I think character's huge. That's one of the things that we, I think the easy thing to see is, how do they skate? How do they handle a puck? And the harder thing to know is what's burning inside them. I mean, they're 18 years of age. My wife and I had 4 children. They're now in their 30s, and they were in the basement. We weren't quite sure when they were 16 to 18, 19. Where they were going with their lives. You just hope that they've got a good foundation. I think we're trying to speculate on young people that we watch from afar, and then we interview them. We talk to their coach, and not ultimately, but quite often that the character, the desire, the determination, the sacrifice are important ingredients in a player fulfilling whatever potential they are, and maybe sometimes going beyond in terms of their importance to the hockey team because of the intangibles. So, the interview process, certainly, when I talked to Tony Granato, maybe in January, February, I'd watched, I flew down, I watched Wisconsin play in Ohio State. And then after the games, I called Tony just to talk to him at that point in time. So I called him this week to kind of go over, as we were going over the players again. I wanted to ask him about Dylan. So certainly, again, he spoke again very highly of his character and his work ethic. And I think those are important ingredients along with the skill set.
Hockey.
Sorry, Jack, I've just unmuted. Go ahead again, Jack. Sorry.
Sure. Just hockey-wise, Ken, in terms of a lot of attention being, placed on Caulfield and Turcotte last year at the University of Wisconsin, and maybe the numbers reflective of ice time as a result, what kinds of feedback did you get on his first year, on the ice?
Well, his first year in talking to Tony is, they had a number of players there that probably played ahead of him. Between seniors and high profile players. So, again, I guess, Jack, he led the Alberta Junior League in scoring as a 17-year-old. I think he was the first or second youngest player in Division I college hockey. He went to a team that had a lot of highly recruited players, highly drafted players, I think 2 or 3 first rounders from last year. I think he had, a little less than a half a point a game. So certainly this is an important year for him in terms of becoming more important, getting more opportunity, hopefully playing a few more minutes. When I talked to Tony, he thought that expected him to have a bigger role and take a step this year. That's what today is about. Today's about potential and speculating on how good some young players can be. So again, you look at the track record. The track record says, I come back to again, when you lead the Alberta League in scoring at 17 years of age, how many people do that? When you know that you're getting a player that's got character and work ethic, that's important. And then he can play left wing, he can play center. I think he's going to be a versatile, important player that I think he can probably go. We're projecting that he's going to be able to play up the roster and down the roster. And a lot of times you draft a player, and if they don't latch onto a top 6, they can't check, and they have a hard time grabbing a spot on the bottom part of the roster. So I think he's going to be because of his ability to play different positions, because of his ability to skate, I think that he has the potential to impact our team in lots of different ways beyond just getting points. We're expecting that he's going to be able to produce offense, but I think he's also going to be able to be a valuable player in other aspects of the game.
Next question to Derek Van Diest, Post Media. Derek, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Andre. Hey, Ken, how you doing? Actually, I just want to ask you real quick if you've heard from Connor McDavid and how he's doing. Actually, the news yesterday took a lot of people by surprise, but have you had a chance to talk to him and how he's feeling right now?
I exchanged texts with Connor today. He told me he's feeling fine. Said he was doing good. I know that a couple other people here did talk to him this morning. I was on the phone pretty well most of the day today, and he told those people the same thing, that he's doing good.
And just to follow up on Dylan, I know, talking to Tyler, he said you guys had a list of guys. Was he kind of the number one guy on your list, or did you kind of wait to see how the draft panned out before you made that pick?
I think Lafreniere was number one on our list.
I guess, yeah.
You do a list. You do your list, and I think coming into tonight, to our pick, I think I'd said yesterday, we feel with the young defensemen with Bear and Caleb Jones and Darnell Nurse, and I mean even Samorukov and Broberg and Bouchard, and that we've got a nice stable of defensemen. So the plan was to pick a forward. I think it's a deep draft this year for forwards, and we're excited that we've got a player that I've just talked about. I think we're adding a young man that's got a ton of character and can versatile, is going to impact our team in a lot of different ways down the road.
Next question to Ryan Mashog from TSN. Go ahead, Ryan.
Ken, just pushing ahead to the next couple of days, if I can, your thought process heading into tomorrow and the next rounds, is it a priority, would you say, to try and add some more picks? How much focus will there be on potentially trying to make some moves and improve the team in the here and now? What do you hope to accomplish maybe before Friday's hits?
Obviously we have to make a decision on the third round pick, tomorrow morning before the third round starts. I'm anticipating we'll use the pick, but we'll decide as we get into the second round. And then we have 5, 6, 7, I think. Obviously free agency is on Friday. So obviously the goalie position, but something's going to happen. Appears there's a lot of goalies. It's a market full of goalies, and it's going to be interesting to see where they all land. And then maybe try to find a player forward or two. And this is Friday for free agency. Much like we did last year. cheaper forward that we think can come in and give us some depth, give us some competition.
And just to follow up, you'd mentioned that you were planning some more talks with Puljujärvi and their camp. How did that go, and what's your level of optimism that something happens there?
Talked again today, talked yesterday, talked again today. So obviously the lines of communication are good. And I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we can get him signed. I'm optimistically, hopeful.
Next question, go to Rob Tichkowski from Post Media. Go ahead, Rod.
Hi. Wisconsin is a pretty good program. So when you draft a guy that you probably aren't gonna see for a couple or 3 years, is it sort of comforting or an added bonus to know that he's in a program that has a pretty good track record of being able to develop NHL caliber players?
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got a good track record. It's a good league, the Big Ten. I obviously I lived in Detroit for a long time and went to games at Michigan and Michigan State, and so it's a good league. I know the coach obviously real well, Tony Granato. He was a head coach in the National Hockey League. They've got a good history of producing players that go on to play in the National Hockey League. So, he'll play there this year, obviously as a junior, and then we'll see at the end of the year whether another year at college is in his best interest to develop as a player, or if we think that when the college season's over, we should, turn him pro. So they announced today, I think, that the Big Ten is going to start their season sometime around middle of November. I think Tony told me today they're going to play 28 game schedule plus playoffs. So, he'll play starting the middle of November. He'll play 35 games or something, and then I'm going to try to get down there and watch him play 2-3 weekends, and then again, like I said, at the end of the year, make a decision on what we think is the goal is to make sure that is to get these young players onto our team 21, 22, give them, if they're ready to go at 19 or 20, great, but I don't want to rush them. And let's see what kind of a year he has this year in Wisconsin.
And next up, Jim Matheson from Post Media. Jim, as soon as your microphone's active, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
A couple of questions. Ken, are you prepared to say yet whether you've made qualifying offers to Benning and Athanasiou?
I have not, no.
You have not made qualifying offers to either player?
That is correct.
Are you going to make qualifying offers to other player?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, and the other question I have for you is when you're not on the floor and you can't go over to another player when you're picking 14th and saying, well, maybe you want to make a trade here and maybe I can move back. Is it more difficult, or do you have that in your bag anyway beforehand to say, okay, this player's still
I think it's
there?
more, yeah, Jim, I think it's more difficult, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. Yeah, again, I've had I had some conversations, like I said, over the last week, one earlier today and one yesterday, of teams, asking if we would go back, but they had some players. It was a draft where, you weren't sure after everybody knew the top three, and then it was, everybody was interested to watch what happened from 4 on to, we were picked 14, from 4 to 10, 11, 12, 13 to see what happened. And so, as Mark had asked me, obviously Calgary's traded back a couple of times. Nobody reached out to take our pick, but at the same time, we're excited about Dylan Holloway. He's a forward. He's going to be an NHL player, in my opinion. How quickly he gets there and how big of an offensive impact he has, but I think he's going to be able to do a lot of different things for our team, like I talked about. So more difficult, but you're still able to make things happen or not happen if you don't want them to. The cell phone, it doesn't matter where you are in the world, with the cell phone, you can talk to anybody. Just
to clarify on the two guys, you're not qualifying. So you're not going back to them to try to work out another deal. They're both going to UFA.
I did talk to them, and didn't work out anything. So they're going to be not qualified, and they'll be UFAs.
And does Athanasiuk, since you traded 2 second round, is that sting?
Well, I like to have the 2 seconds, but I think, I guess, Jim, my question to you, did you do things in your life before that you would do differently? Probably, but you gather all the information at the time, you make a decision, and I'm not looking back. I think, I did it because we were trying to win. I did it because, he'd scored 30 goals, and I knew him, and he had talent, and I was hoping he was going to come in and give us a boost down the stretch and into the playoffs. Certainly the pandemic, he played 2-3 games, and then the pandemic hit. I think he played only 8 or 9 games for us. I was hoping he was going to play 20 games and we'd play our way into the playoffs. So it was a smaller opportunity to have an impact on our team. So at the end of the day, I think, to qualify him and Matt, I guess, I talked to both of their agents a number of times over the last week, with a flat cap, and the challenges putting a team together in the flat cap. I made that decision.